Hi guys, welcome this afternoon. I want to welcome everybody. There's Jennifer Ritchie and I'm Amy DeVita, and I want to welcome you all to today's very special cause marketing webinar. And I'm really excited about it and glad you guys could join us. And I'm not so thrilled, but Jennifer, it was her idea. She wanted to have a webcam and do some video, and very good reason, and it's very personal to be able to do that. So I thought I would follow her lead, her very brave lead, and kind of go into and put myself out there. So hello, everybody. Welcome. My name is Amy DeVita, and I'm the managing partner at Top Nonprofits, and we are a website, an online resource for nonprofit professionals. We have great content and free resources all the time. So if you're not already familiar, before this webinar today, I hope you'll return to our site and check out what we have to offer. So a little bit about the platform. For those of you who have joined us, I do thank you, Rachel, for letting me know that you're able to hear us. Yay, because I do like to ask that in advance. So for those of you who have not used the AnyMeeting platform before, I just want to remind you that this is a web-based platform. So if you have an application running on your computer that requires a lot of bandwidth, it would be a good idea to close that out so that you're able to get the most out of this and have the best user experience. So thanks again for joining us. If you have any communication to share with me, or questions that you would like me to pose to Jennifer during the Q&A period, you can use the chat box or the chat tool that is at the left side of your computer screen. I don't know which way that is right now, but at the left of your computer screen, there is a margin and there's a chat tool in there. So you can certainly send any comments, questions to us, and I'll be able to see those, and I'll share those questions with Jennifer at the Q&A period. So without further ado, let me give you a little bit of background about our very special guest today who managed to get me to go on the camera too. Jennifer Ritchie is an amazing young woman, and I'm very glad to have gotten to know her over the past year. She's amazing. She's launched an event called the Cause Marketing Summit, New York City, and that's how I came to know her last year. That was the first, and coming up on May 24th is the second, and it's going to rock even more than the first one did. So we'll share some information about that event, but it's really amazing. It takes place in New York City, and that's where Jennifer is joining us from today. And we have people who are logging in online here from all over the world. So thanks all for joining. And if you happen to be in New York City, May 24th, or can get there, the event is really a fabulous one to help hone your cause marketing campaign skills and skill set. So a little bit of background. Jennifer Ritchie, besides launching Cause Marketing Summit, and when she's not busy planning that and planning her upcoming wedding, she has a full-time gig where she is I want to make sure I have the title correct, the Associate Director of Corporate Partnerships at Young Survival Coalition in New York City. So she knows a thing or two about the topic in which we're speaking, and I couldn't think of anybody more qualified to talk about it. So thank you for joining us. Beyond that, she really has an extensive, what also makes her very qualified here, she has an extensive background in communications and has worked both in the nonprofit and for-profit worlds. So previously she had positions at the Partnership for a Healthier New York City and Public Health Solutions. And in her life before nonprofit, she had it included marketing and strategic roles at MTV and Comedy Central. So obviously very familiar with cameras, etc. So anyway, today we're going to be talking about the 5 things you must know before launching a cause marketing campaign. And these are coming from real world experiences from Jennifer. And she teased us a little bit. I think she has a 6th one that she's going to include. So stick around. And without further ado, I am going to ask Jen to unmute herself, and I'll put myself on mute, and then we'll circle back at the end and ask her any questions that pop up. Thanks.
Awesome. Can everyone hear me? Maybe Rachel can say if she can hear me too. Okay, great. Thank you so much, Amy. That was a really, really warm welcome and great introduction to who I am and what I do. And I'm thrilled to be on Top Nonprofits. You guys have been amazing partners in spreading the word about the summit and just, about all these best practices in general. So I just want to say thank you, and also thank you to everyone for taking the time out of your day to listen to me and hear what I have to say. This expertise that I'm sharing, it's from my own personal experiences and obviously my own opinions and things of that nature. So just keep that in mind. I know there's so many ways to approach cause-related marketing or purpose-driven marketing or corporate partnerships or you name it. There are about 20 names I could name that my job technically covers. I think traditionally most people think of cause marketing as point of sale or tied to a product, but I've done so many different types of partnerships that don't include that. So they kind of all fall into that umbrella of corporate partnership, and I'm happy to explore and tell you about specifics, but I'd love to get into what I think are my, top 5 things to think about and to know before launching a corporate partnership or, cause-related marketing campaign. So I'd say number one is stay true to your mission. You know who you are as a nonprofit, you know who you are as a brand. If you're making sure that this partnership is going to help you accomplish your goals and objectives, and it's a positive partnership, that's really the first step. So just assess your partner on all levels. And there's a lot of talk about the value exchange between what nonprofits bring to the table and what for-profits bring to the table. And naturally, as nonprofits, we bring so much. We bring our stories, our impact, our audience, the halo effect of being associated with a cause. So just make sure you're guarding that and that you don't build a partnership that could be counterintuitive to your mission. I think one of the questions that was submitted before this webinar was, how to assess a partner. And there's so many levels of that, I mean, for us here at Young Survival Coalition, or many people know us as YSC, our number one goal is to ensure that no young woman faces breast cancer alone. So with that, for-profit partners can really help us spread the word and reach young women more effectively sometimes than we do, as we don't have a very large advertising or marketing budget, which I'm sure you can identify with. So partnering is a really great way to spread the word about who we are and what we do, so that young women, if they are diagnosed or know someone who has been diagnosed, they will send them to us. And so it's really helpful to partner with people who can really help you spread the word. And if you can, as much as possible, be involved in the messaging, be involved in developing what that message is, whether it's on product in store or on the website, so that you can make sure they're messaging your nonprofit in a really positive way and in a way that speaks to your target audience, and also isn't harmful and doesn't spread a message that could potentially be harmful to your target audience. And then next slide, be awesome. I know this sounds weird, but I'll quote Aria Finger, the president of, or I guess she's the chief old person at DoSomething.org. And she said, as a nonprofit, people are not only looking at you to do good things, they're looking at you to do great things. They want to see where the dollars are going, what the impact is. So I must say, at YSC, we do attract corporate partners, and they find us online. We have a really polished website and just materials, and it's really helpful to the more quote unquote awesome you are as a nonprofit, the more inclined someone will be to partner with you. Keep it legal. I know this is probably the least fun part of doing a corporate partnership or cause-related marketing, at least for me it is, we as nonprofits are highly watched, especially sitting at a breast cancer nonprofit. Um, you know, we have to make sure that we're keeping it legal and within the realm of the Better Business Bureau Wise Giving Alliance. You can go to give.org to view their lengthy um, list of criteria. But what I did is I created a little one-sheeter for our corporate partners so that they know how to message our partnership in order to keep it legal and also to keep us in good graces and our rating. I think we're at a silver or gold right now with the Better Business Bureau. Um, so, for instance, saying something like 100% of purchase price is perfectly fine. Um, but if you're doing a dollar amount, you have to say, oh, it's $5 per sale will be donated or $5 per retail. So the language is important, and it's also important that your for-profit partners are aware of that, because even though it may be on their website or their materials, it still counts because it's in partnership with you. Another good resource is Perlman and Perlman. They're a really wonderful law firm who specialize in these types of campaigns. So before you get started, just look into the commercial co-venture laws that govern your state and the states in which your campaign will appear. And then obviously, you need to have a signed contract, especially in the event that you are audited. So make sure that you are in fact keeping it legal, because you don't want this to harm your nonprofit or get into a place where your 501c3 designation is in jeopardy. And then I would say also this is a suggestion of the Better Business Bureau, is to require a minimum donation. I know that oftentimes when we do cause-related marketing campaigns, the donation is tied to sales, and a lot of times, hi Sandy, and a lot of times, companies will tell me in conversation or negotiation, we don't know what the donation will be. And sure, that's the case most of the time. However, it's really important that you do require a minimum, because that way you're able to see, is this company really serious? Are they invested and interested in actually giving to the cause and helping the nonprofit versus being in it for just free marketing and spreading the word in that halo effect? I have gotten into situations where I've seen this past October, an Us Weekly came out, and there was a company that I had never spoken to, who was advertising that they were partnering with us on breast cancer awareness campaign in October. So make sure you keep an eye out and make sure you keep your Google alerts current and with your name on it, so that in the event that someone does announce that they're partnering with you and you haven't spoken with them, that you can reach out. So that's just, keeping it legal and keeping it kosher. Number 4, I know that the hardest part about cause-related marketing is really getting to a yes and getting to those partners, and I'll get into how to approach them a little bit later on. But just know, if the partner is not willing to say, oh, I'll even at least a minimum donation of 500, 1,000. I mean, it should arguably be higher, and as a rule of thumb, it should be higher than what you would expect of an individual to give. So make sure that they're really invested in your nonprofit and not just interested in reaching your newsletter subscriber list, because while that's great, and I'm sure you will announce and talk about your partnership, they're not really going to see a big sales bump because of your audience. What they're going to see is a sales bump from their consumers and for people who are already interested in their product. So don't, if you're feeling kind of weird about the situation and like the for-profit is benefiting more than you are and it's not relatively equal, it's okay to say no or suggest another nonprofit that they partner with. But just be aware of that. I knew that was a hard lesson for me to learn. I spent many hours on the phone with folks, trying to donate bracelets or cupcakes. And, sometimes you have to explain that we are the nonprofit, and the way we run our programs, and here at YSC, the way we support young women is through running our programs and through donations. So I like to emphasize, if this does not include a donation, this is a programmatic conversation or communications conversation. So just keep that in mind. Be proactive and have fun. I mean, you're gonna have a lot of no's. You're gonna hit a lot of roadblocks, and in many ways, it is sales. It's sales and marketing. So be proactive. Especially since I'm at a breast cancer organization, I'm constantly looking at magazines, and we subscribe to a tool called the List online, where you're able to, identify companies and see who's spending on advertising and who's trying to promote their product. And then also, just looking around and being aware and going on sites, start to identify sort of which companies have a similar target audience as you, because those folks will more easily see synergy within your nonprofit. And don't be afraid to go on a limb and just cold call. Do a lot of cold emails on LinkedIn. The List online also, you can download emails and approach people in marketing, in digital marketing. Um, Sometimes going in through HR, which what I like to do is offer to give a breast cancer awareness 101. Because even though we all seem to be aware of breast cancer and everything turns pink in October, there are many things that I didn't know as a young woman that I should have known, and I like to. It's a good opportunity for me to spread the word about what we do, but then also it also piques interest from the employees about how they can get involved and how their company can get even more deeply involved. So get creative, have fun, start to think creatively about your efforts and your nonprofit and sort of what would appeal to a for-profit partner. I will say, like in that initial conversation, definitely get a good idea as to why you're in that conversation from the for-profit, from the business. I will say, it's usually a combination of both passion and profit from the for-profit. Sometimes it's purely business, we want to make this product, we want to have it sell in October, we need a partner. But oftentimes, because so many people and so many women and families have been affected by this disease, sometimes it is personal. So you'll want to just identify sort of, what it is they're looking for and what their goals and objectives are, so that you can better frame the conversation and tell them things that will appeal to them. But then also don't lose the heart of it and really the feel good piece of it, because that's so important and really why nonprofits look to, or sorry, for-profits look to us so much, for our amazing stories and impact. And they're also a lot of times, this is where I would say YSC doesn't have a ton of opportunity for employee engagement. Just by design, our organization isn't designed that way, but I would say that's definitely something that a lot of for-profit companies look for, especially with millennials being in the workforce, and they really do care about cause marketing. I know a question that came up was, is this trend a dying trend? Is it something that's going away? I say definitely not. I think it's changing shape. I do think that nonprofits are definitely held more accountable, and especially businesses too, with the millennial generation, younger generations, and social media, they're held accountable. And it's one thing I heard from a millennial. He's an influencer speaking at the Cause Marketing Summit. Was just when he thinks about cause-related marketing or corporate partnerships, he just says it's a necessity. It's something that it's expected, and it's something that says not only something about the two partners, but about you, the person that's wearing the product, the person that's supporting that business. So I think younger generations more now than ever find it to be vital. Okay. Bonus. So this is the sixth one. It was really hard to cut it down to five. And I know I probably hit more than five in this conversation, just because I can nerd out on cause marketing all day, every day. But the why question is so important. This goes back to also young people because they want to know, and people in general really want to know why. Why are you doing this? Why is it important to your company? Is the synergy apparent? Is it obvious? This is why I'm partnering with this person. Or is it a little more subtle? You know, for instance, we've had a really wonderful relationship with Ford Warriors in Pink. And, you know, yeah, sure, it's not obvious on the surface that, you know, a car company would be interested in breast cancer. However, when you dig a little deeper, you understand that many of their employees have been affected by this disease, and they found it to be, you know, a very passionate cause, a cause they're very passionate about. So it's very important to explain sort of the why, and people look to companies to understand that. Coming from a nonprofit side, I've been in nonprofits for since 2010. You know, I don't question it. I just naturally think, oh, great, you know, they've partnered, that's cool. But then, you know, people who aren't in this world, they do want to know why are you partnering? Why is it important? And they seek that synergy. So that's a good thing to remember too as you approach businesses proactively. Discover your why, and also approach companies that will help you answer that question. And you know, sometimes it is okay to, you know, just have a partnership that seems totally random, but just make sure it's not counterintuitive to your mission, like I had mentioned before, because that's where we sometimes get into trouble. Um, and then I can say more and I will say more and answer questions, but I just wanted to put this out there. If you're interested in learning more, like Amy said, Cause Marketing Summit is happening on the 13th. And the reason for me doing this is I wanted to go. And so I hope you will too. If you use the promo code Top Nonprofits, you can get an extra 20% off. Our early bird ends on Friday. At that point, ticket prices increase $50 per ticket, but yeah, hopefully I will see some of your smiling faces there. We plan to video, but yeah, so I wanted to show you that. And then I'm going to show you a quick video, if this works, a 2-minute video, and then ask questions, or did you want to ask questions first? Roll that video footage. Okay, let's see if this works. We decided to get really creative with this webinar, and thank you, Amy, for being brave. Okay, let's see. And for the viewers at home, or the people not viewing this in real time, I know it doesn't record the YouTube video. So what you'll want to do is go to youtube.com and just type Cause Marketing Summit in the search bar, and I think it's the second video, but you'll be able to recognize it by our logo. So I'm going to mute myself, and then I'm going to press. Actually, what I'm going to do, oops,
Jennifer, maybe it's the bandwidth. If you want to close off the webcam, maybe it's too much.
oh, okay, that makes sense.
I don't know.
All right, let's try this one more time, and then while it's playing, think about your questions and submit them if you could.
Screaming goals today, surely, learning about corporate social responsibility, accessible to nonprofits with mission and small budgets. It's also by consumers and younger audiences. And last but not least, provide a meeting place for all you wonderful people to connect and ultimately ignite creative.
And so, what percent of millennials will switch brands because of a cause? Come on, this is like, I give you some easy ones. 89%. We know that these young people care about this stuff.
All marketing will be cause marketing.
Perspective shift home. So the neurons with this also make it important for corporations to stand up with solutions that affect their business.
So when you're doing cause marketing, when you're working at a not-for-profit, you can't just be good. You have all this money that folks are giving you to do great things in the world. There are so many causes out there. You need to do that.
It's great if you have a strong brand. I would not discount the importance of investing in your brand. But impact is really, really important. The second piece of that is really knowing who you are as a brand. So in order to make an authentic connection to a consumer, you can't go in and be somebody you're not. Levi's can't go in and act like Quicksilver or Gold Temple Vans or these other brands that are already speaking to consumers. We had to come in with an approach that was authentically Levi's.
It's a battle that's big enough to matter, but small enough to win.
Hey, Jen, did you?
Okay.
Thank you for sharing that video. It was not only great to see a little bit about the Cause Marketing Summit and see what it's like there, but those were some great sound bites too from wonderful leaders. So I'm going to close that. Okay. Oh, there we are. And we have a question. Can you hear me okay? Yeah, okay, great. Looking for some suggestions on events that could be sponsored by a local bank for a nonprofit, which is an artist residency. So obviously that's a very specific question. Maybe think about it a little creatively. I don't know, Jen, putting you on the spot just off the cuff, is there something that you've seen in your experiences?
So let me just make sure I understand the question. You work at a yeah, I understand the question. To be perfectly honest, our gala we're doing like an art show, and that's definitely sponsored by a bunch of different corporate. The bank wants to sponsor an event. Maybe that's something we could email. If you could email me some more information about that, I think I don't have enough information, sorry, to answer that in a very good way. But I will. Let me just answer one of the questions that came in before this this webinar, and I imagine it came from someone who's on the line. It was a question about the criteria for selecting partners. I will say this year I created a whole corporate partners matrix whereby we weighted different pieces of each company. So some things that are really important to us: do they reach young women? Do they reach young families? Do they have a similar, target market? Another one is the likelihood that they'll introduce us to other partners. And another one is to, be someone where, we think is going to be a multi-year, or is it just going to be a one-time promotion? That's more valuable, obviously, than a one-time promotion. So there's a lot of criteria that go into it. And then also how you determine what your minimum donation is and what you're willing to provide, because obviously we have so many strengths. We could provide, a newsletter e-blast, social promotion. But you have to make sure that at the end of the day, this is about raising money for your nonprofit. So you may have to make sure that, that minimum is worth what you're messaging to your constituents. Because I will say, sitting at a breast cancer nonprofit at YSC, people and marketers are very interested in reaching our young women, because they are a lot of times the chief household officer, I've heard, and the person purchasing most of the goods. So it's always important for me to determine, is this partner really just interested in reaching our audience, or do they really care about these women and they're willing to make a considerable donation? So my criteria are a little, um, they're not crazy, but you'll be able to gauge it once you do have those conversations, um, with your partners.
Jennifer, there's a question about, I don't know if you saw it in the chat, that asks, how do you attract millennials to your cause? And that's a very general question. But do you want to take that, or?
Yeah, I think, for millennials, it has to be something they care about. It has to resonate with them. It would help to know, maybe a little bit more, but I would say to keep it current, to keep it visual, to show the impact. They want to see, okay, you're doing X. Now, how does my donation help you do X? They really want it to be crystal clear, that connection, because they grew up, or we grew up in an era where you can find information and they're, told to ask questions and they're constantly communicating. So I think a good way to attract in millennials is also to make it fun. If there is a way to make it fun, if you have a run or a walk, if there's some element you can add to it that will appeal to millennials, like these color runs that are emerging, and many other sort of hip hop, or have different sort of themes that make them more exciting for young people. And also, one thing that I learned, especially from DoSomething.org in their presentation, was that young people want to meet in person. They want that connection. I think we think of millennials as constantly being on their phones and on their computers, but to be honest, they really do want that in-person connection. So I think providing opportunities to volunteer, and also kind of low touch opportunities, like Do Something did a campaign called Teens for Jeans, which was simply, donating your jeans to homeless youth. So something that they are able to get involved in. They obviously probably, don't have the deepest pockets, so be mindful of that if you're having a gala. And I know I'm getting off topic. I'm not talking just about cause-related marketing, because my job kind of covers a lot. So if you're having a gala, I will say, or an event, maybe you want to have an event that's specific for youth. Make the price point a little bit lower and the entry a little bit easier. And that way you're really cultivating your future donors. And I think that, like I said, show your impact, be very visual, and be very crystal clear about what it is you're trying to accomplish. Find ways to be relevant, and find ways to be fun, and also provide opportunities for young people to come together and to unite. I do have one more. Tumblr's coming to the summit. They're speaking on a panel about influencing the influencer. And a lot of topics that have come up is to be authentic. Don't try to be something you're not. And one thing they emphasize, they have a platform called Post It Forward, which is to sort of post what you're, if you're feeling depressed or anxious, so that other people can feel comfortable sharing their stories, and also to remove the stigma of mental illness. So, by using platforms like Tumblr, I know we've used Tumblr in our J brand. We did a really cool campaign with J brand jeans this past October, where they created a little pink jean, and we did a photo shoot with 4 different survivors and told their stories with quotes, and J brand created a Tumblr page featuring the survivors and their quotes, and they got so much incredible feedback from their consumers that I think sometimes companies don't expect that necessarily. So one woman wrote this really long email. All she had seen was their newsletter, and I think maybe an Instagram post. She's like, "Thank you so much for supporting this cause. I'm a young breast cancer survivor, and I always see, pictures of older women with breast cancer, and I never see people who look like me. So, I think having images that resonate with young people and show young people that are affected by, or people their age, is really helpful. And not just millennials, but people in general identify with people. I think sometimes on the nonprofit side, we tend to give a lot of data. We're used to grant proposals, and potentially working with the government, or more sort of cerebral entities. But but yeah, I think people connect with people. I've worked on hunger issues in the past, and the statistics, at least to most people, aren't as interesting. They want to help that woman feed that child, and the numbers, while they're important, it's really also so important to emphasize that human side of things, because people identify with people in need, or animals, or people that they can see who look like them, not look like them, but you get what I mean.
That they can relate to, and it's got to be relatable, and make that personal connection. How about this question, Jennifer? Thank you. What about what sort of benefits and perks have you seen attached to a corporate partners program? So this is coming from, we work in healthcare fundraising. So I guess the larger picture is, what are corporate sponsors, corporate partners, what are they generally looking for?
It varies. Like I said, if we're just talking about sort of campaign needs, I'd say, as best you can. I know, every nonprofit is different. Sometimes you have one person working on corporate partnerships, like at YSC, it's just me. Other times you have a whole team. So depending on what you're able to provide, it's always important to work with them on their communications, on their messaging, and then also, if there are campaign elements that they're not thinking about. For instance, Good World has a really great #donate capability that you can tack on to any campaign, really. So, just be aware of ways that you can help them spread the word. Sometimes, we have to emphasize, we can provide, you could do a photo shoot with survivors. We have great quotes, great imagery. Those are the kind of things you can provide. And also, messaging their employees. Like, don't forget about that audience either, because that helps with employee retention and brand affinity. So they're looking for a lot of things, not only just improving their brand image, but also earned media. So be ready, have a press release ready to rock, and work with their press team as best you can to spread the message, because it only helps you too. And then, they are looking for cross promotion. A lot of times you just have to be careful. You're not, I have to a lot of times emphasize, young women come to us for support. They don't necessarily come to us to buy products. So it's one thing to announce the partnership and make people aware, but ultimately it's not going to help their brand if we're messaging them constantly and sort of from a platform where people are looking for support. So, definitely offer what you can, and you do have more than you think you have.
It's very true. There are so many, Jennifer just touched on it, so many benefits that come from a good solid partnership, so many benefits that the for-profit gets that sometimes we forget. It's not just selling product, but building community around your business. And it's also, as you mentioned, employee engagement is a huge chunk of it. And there are so many, even in the for-profit world, it's hard to keep good talent. So their businesses are always trying to find ways that they can keep their employees on board. So that's definitely one of them. And quick question. This was something go ahead.
I'm sorry, I just thought of something, because I just revised our corporate partnerships presentation. Always make sure you get quotes from your partners, and testimonials, because who better to message your nonprofit than other corporate partners you've partnered with? So always make that ask, and they're usually happy to provide it. And another, I'd say quote unquote perks, and this also gets into like, is it cause-related marketing? Is it purpose-driven marketing? Is it anyway, tomato to me. I see a lot of different approaches, but one thing in my cause-related marketing presentation is a sort of a menu of, because we do have sponsorship opportunities, like you can sponsor our 200-mile long Tour de Pink ride, which is coming up, by the way, and I'm riding it in September. So if you'd like to sign up, Tour de Pink is the way to go. But anyway, shameless plug. um, but anyways, so we have these specific sponsorships. We have sponsorships tied to that event. We have also sponsorships tied to our gala. We have sponsorships tied to our summit, which all have, a menu of items that sponsor benefits from. So it's, logo on the brochure or on the print materials. I guess that's the same thing, but on the website, in person, and an opportunity to exhibit. So what I've done is sort of put all those sponsorship elements together so that if a corporate partner comes at a certain level, they're able to benefit from all of those elements underneath that sponsorship, if you will. So it's not a true sponsorship in the sense that we're sponsoring one event or one sort of endeavor. It's more we've committed, and this is a way also that we try to get higher guaranteed minimums, because when they see, okay, if I donate 25,000 or 50,000, I get X, Y, and Z, and it also gives them an idea of how we value those things, how we value putting their logo on our materials or messaging the company on our website. So I just wanted to throw that out there real quick, because I think I didn't say that.
No, I think, thank you. That is a huge thing, and it kind of addresses one of the questions I just saw pop up. So let's see if you want to add to it. But our nonprofit is in a transformational time. We want to get our mission out to the masses in creative and impactful ways. Social media is huge, but are there any other ways to promote to the public? I mean, Jen, I'll ask you to answer, but I mean, one of the first things that comes to my mind too, besides that, is the power of YouTube and video. And that's really huge. It's the second largest search engine in the world is YouTube. And the younger the group, and this goes to that millennial attraction too, the younger your target too, that's where they're going to search for things. So that would be a suggestion from me, and I would love to hear what Jennifer's thoughts are.
Awesome. Well, you're in luck, because before I did corporate partnerships, I was a director of communications at 2 different nonprofits. So hopefully I can answer this question. I think social media is a wonderful tool, and you should certainly be using that and, boosting your posts when you can. I will say, Facebook has made it kind of difficult for nonprofits because, a lot of times, we invested in getting more people to like our page, but then ultimately, as the algorithms shift, it's increasingingly harder and harder to reach those folks, even though they've technically kind of opted in to see your material. So it's one avenue, one platform. I will say that earned media is not dead. Like, people read magazines, people read newspapers, watch television. I would definitely say a great place to start too is to find a day that is important to your nonprofit. So for us, obviously, Breast Cancer Awareness Month is important. But when I was at Healthier NYC, or actually before that, I was working with a WIC program. And, obviously the WIC program isn't naturally something you would imagine you would see on a news channel. But we had a Let's Move celebration on the Let's Move Day. I sent out a press release, and we got a lot of local coverage. So, the local Bronx News 12 came and shot our Let's Move celebration. A lot of these news channels are constantly reporting on things that are bad in the community. So it's really refreshing to them, I think, to hear news that's positive. So I would say, try to get earned media coverage as best you can, and also form relationships with media partners. Here at YSC, we're lucky to have a wonderful media partner, CBS Radio. They do our We Can Survive concert every year at the Hollywood Bowl. And I mean, they can bring talent like Rihanna and The Weeknd and Demi Lovato and Sam Smith. I mean, we're so lucky I shouldn't say lucky, we are a great organization, but we're so lucky to have media partner who's willing to spread the message about YSC. So definitely, don't be afraid to reach out to your local media partners and pitch your nonprofit, because a lot of times you'd be surprised they're willing to cover it, especially if it ties into something relevant or timely that's happening.
1 second. I have to wait a sec to unmute. Sorry. There was a question here too about asking if there is a database to find other organizations with a similar mission statement. And do you have any suggestions on that?
Sure. I mean, you could go to idealist.org. They have a lot of nonprofits in their database. You can also, oh no, and of course it's escaping me.
I was going to say you can go to GuideStar.
That's it.
Yeah. So on GuideStar, you can search by state, by city, and you can filter it out by particular cause. So not necessarily mission statement, but cause at least.
Right. And obviously, I mean, Google, our friend Google, is a great place to start. And two, if you set up Google alerts for your cause, I have Google alerts set up for breast cancer in young women, Young Survival Coalition, and then I also have Google alerts set up for our corporate partners, so that I know, when people are starting to talk about breast cancer, from the communication side, that was an opportunity to, comment or to reach out to a press entity. But yeah, set up your Google alerts, and you'll be able to find more organizations with a similar mission and vision. And then also attending events that attract nonprofits is always a good way to find other nonprofits that are doing similar work. And things like I could go on forever. And things like, going for YSC, going to things like CancerCon or ASCO in Chicago to, find those other, not only nonprofits, but other people working on your cause and in your industry.
Jennifer, we have another question. Is it a good idea to collaborate with other nonprofits for events?
Oh, for sure. 110%. I mean, I think when people see, like, sometimes nonprofits, you do consider them a competitor at times. Obviously, if you're going off after the same grant, you are a direct competitor. But I will say one grant that I worked on was wonderful. Actually, just to keep it in the realm of cause-related marketing, many times our partners also have another breast cancer partner that they're really also invested in, and we constantly run into one another, and we partner and sometimes apply for grants together. So I think it's important to make nice, and my motto is plays well with others. We're making T-shirts this year, I think, but it's a great motto to have. And also keep in mind, and one thing that I've done that's interesting is your for-profit partners may want to get together. So for instance, we did or Not Your Mother's hair care products, one of our corporate partners, they did a 12 days of giveaways around Christmas time, and our other 2 or 3 partners, so BH Cosmetics is another one, and Wet Seal, all contributed to their little 12 days of giveaways basket. And all my corporate partners were like talking to one another. It was really cool. So, and I think, while we may, people see people as competitors, or you can bring them into your fold and really work together on a cause. And to be honest, in order to have the most impact, you do have to have partners. I worked on a partnership with 9 different hunger organizations, and we worked on a USDA grant together because we knew we couldn't go it alone, that we wouldn't be awarded the $2 million if we did go it alone, and created Hunger Free NYC, sort of a one-stop shop for hunger resources in the city. So yeah, there's wonderful opportunity in partnership. It's just a matter of identifying the right partners and being crystal clear about what the expectations are and who's doing what, to avoid any kind of confusion down the road, and to communicate. I know that's so hard, can be hard even within your own organization. it's so important to communicate with your programs team, with your communications team, and with higher management about what it is you're doing, and keep everyone in the loop, because I think the less we communicate, the more confusion it creates. So yeah, just over communicate as best you can.
Well, and you brought up the point too early on in your presentation, under the keep it legal part, to have it all documented. Make sure that you're following the letter of the law, and not only in your state, but wherever your campaign is running. I am familiar with Perlman. They're a great organization. And we just had a webinar a few weeks ago about fundraising compliance, online fundraising compliance. So there are a multitude of legalities that tie into this. So certainly anyone that's listening, make sure that you're covering that aspect of it. And to Jennifer's point, make sure that everything is communicated clearly in writing. We want everybody, obviously you want everyone to have a good experience. So you have to set the expectations based on, what they really are and clearly define what those are. So I think we're coming up close to the end of an hour, and we covered the questions that have been in the chat box. So this is your last second. And in the meantime, though, I think what we'll do is we'll bring this to a close. I want to just thank Jennifer. I want to thank all of you and remind you that there is this special discount code if you want to go to Cause Marketing NYC, the Cause Marketing Summit NYC, and the code is Top Nonprofits, and you'll get 20% off, which is a huge savings. Thank you for extending that, and thank you. Thanks for the compliments. It's nice to see. And Jennifer, I'm signing off, but please, certainly, if Jennifer, I'll let you close and have the last word.
Okay, great. Thank you. Yeah, it's causemarketingnyc.com. And yeah, I'd love to see you there. If not, we're definitely not slowing down. So hopefully we'll see you soon. And I really appreciate you listening. Please use me as a resource. My email is jrichey, RICHEY, at causemarketingnyc.com. And feel free to link in and yeah, continue doing great things in the world. And if you need a pep talk, I'm good for that as well. So stay out there and have fun with it. And I wish you all the best in your endeavors, and high five.
Great. All right. Bye, everybody. Thank you so much. Have a great rest of your day.
Bye.
Bye.